Welcome to the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. Are you over 40 and tired of struggling with your weight, dieting, and constantly feeling like you're starting over with nutrition and fitness? Do you wish you had more energy? Do you want to lose weight and finally keep it off for good? I'm Lil, a certified nutrition coach and former registered nurse. I too have been there, and at the age of 44, I decided I was done with fad diets and chasing a lower number on the scale. I was so tired of constantly starting over and wondering why I couldn't get lasting results. I became a nutrition coach and created the Feel Your Best formula for women who want to build muscle, lose fat, and keep it off for good. If you're ready to build a better relationship with food, the scale, and your body, let's build your formula for feeling your best. If you're new here, make sure to check the episode details for the link to my newbie starter guide. You'll receive an email straight to your inbox with everything you need to start building your Feel Your Best formula. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hello, welcome to another episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. I'm Lil, and I have to say it feels so good to be back in routine with podcasting. And if you are listening to this live on Monday, October 16th, this means that the Lose Fat for Good workshop has launched. I'm so excited for this because in this workshop, I've put together the exact step-by-step process for creating your Feel Your Best formula in losing the fat for good, which is exactly what I know so many of you are looking for. I really think the best part is that when you understand how to build healthy habits that work for you, you know you're never going to be searching ever again for a cleanse, a detox, a crash diet, or fad diet again. You will just understand what you need to do. And just think about all the time and energy you've wasted on diets that do not work, that give you bad information, and maybe help you lose scale weight quickly, but ultimately are impossible to stick to because they don't show you how to lose fat the right way. My workshop shows you exactly how to lose fat the right way, and it's going to take you time to get to your goal, but very quickly, you're going to gain energy by fueling your body correctly. You're going to start thinking about the scale, your body, and your relationship with food in a more positive and helpful way. And while it might take you longer, it's going to be so much easier than you even thought was possible. I sent out a discount code to those of you who are already on the early bird discount list, but I'll share it here as well because I'm just so grateful. The reason I made this workshop is because of this podcast, and the messages that I get from you guys who listen to the podcast is basically me giving you everything you need to know to get started right without having to try to figure things out and wondering, well, should I start here? What should I do next? It's all laid out for you. And you can find the link to the workshop in the show details and on my website show notes. And you can use the code EARLYBIRD when you go to checkout to receive a discount. You're going to get the workshop for only $97. The full price of the workshop without the discount code is $297. And this price is only going to run for a limited amount of time. It's only going to run for 2 weeks. So you want to make sure you get it now. Even if you're thinking, I don't want to start now, I'm going to start in the new year, then you can always purchase it and it's there available to you whenever you're ready. All right. So if you have been listening to the podcast and thinking I should really start taking action on these tips, I really just want to start doing what Lil's been talking about here, this is your chance. Get the workshop. There's tons of resources there to help you customize your plan. And basically, you're going to walk away from this 1 hour workshop with your exact plan for losing the weight for good. Okay, let's dive into the topic you came here for. And I chose this topic after I polled my Instagram stories earlier this week. And It was a very close race between this topic and now the topic I'll be covering next week. But this only tells me that because it was so close in the votes that you guys are super curious and you want info on both topics. But this topic got more votes, so that's what we're starting with. The other topic was an episode on why nutrition dictates your results, or what we're going to cover today, which is the truth about home fitness versus the gym, and the fitness one, like I said, by just a smidge. So that's what we're starting with and we're going to talk about today. All right, so let's set the stage for today's discussion. Fitness, literally, there are thousands of ways you can get fit, and it can have so many different meanings to so many different people. One person's idea of fitness might be to run a marathon. Another person, it might be to deadlift 300 pounds. Another person, it might be to achieve some really difficult inversion or balancing pose in their yoga practice. And for most of us, most likely, it is just to be as healthy as we can be while enjoying our life and, just wanting to function at our best. We want to look good. We want to feel good. And we might not even be training towards any particular goal. I just always say I'm training for life. I know that being stronger, I know that having good cardiovascular health, all of those things help me feel better. And it makes me stronger mentally when life throws a curveball and I need to be strong for other people. So that's all I'm training for. I've done triathlons. I've done yoga. I've done Pilates. I've been a runner at different points in my life. And now I'm just looking for ways that I can just enjoy being fit. I can enjoy the process that it takes to be fit, and I can enjoy my day-to-day life. That's what it's really about for me. And I would say that the vast majority of people look at fitness as a means to an end. They want to look a certain way. And no judgment here, because honestly, that was a major driving factor for me. The very first time I went to the gym, my whole life, I was just like, if I was more fit, I'd look better, I'd feel better, whatever. But the first time I got on a treadmill and went to a group fitness class, I went because of the way I looked. Yes, I felt crappy. I was chubby after having 2 babies in 2 years. I did not sleep very well. I was not taking care of myself. I was not eating well. I got out of breath climbing up the stairs in my home. I had heartburn almost every night. And that was not what motivated me. It was how I looked. I wanted to lose the extra fat. I wanted to feel like myself again. And while I had dabbled in fitness off and on my entire life, from aerobics classes, running, yoga, Pilates, etc., I'd never really been consistent for any length of time at that point. And I'd always just kind of exercised to reach a goal and, get to how I wanted to look, and then I would stop. So today's episode, we're going to dive into the truth behind getting fit and what it really costs. Let me be clear, everything has a cost, and when I say cost, it isn't just money. Everything you do in life costs you time, energy, or money. And that is just the truth. And you have to decide what you're going to invest when it comes to these 3 resources of time, energy, and money. And it will obviously depend on certain constraints as far as what is available to you. So don't come at me and say I'm not empathetic to financial constraints. I absolutely understand that everyone has their own amount of finances that they have to budget. So I'm just going to talk about things in a very general way, and it's up to you to figure out how to take this information and do with it what you will. I don't make the rules. Gyms cost money, equipment costs money, and if you're someone who is frugal in other areas of your life, I'm sure you can find a way to be frugal when it comes to your fitness. I know a lot of people can purchase things on yard sale sites or during sales and stuff like that. So it's all about just understanding who you are as a person, what your personal constraints are, and taking this information and making the best decision that you can with it. One of the reasons I wanted to do this episode is I've seen it repeatedly online. people saying you cannot get fit from home. And honestly, I really want to take a hard look at that statement because one, it's coming from a privileged point of view for many reasons. Two, it is simply not true. Three, it underestimates your ability to take responsibility for your habits. Four, I will also address the facts about getting fit from home and why a gym may be a better option for you, or maybe getting fit from home is a better option for you. Because here's the thing, like all things in life, there is nuance and personal reasons why something may be best for someone else and why your choice is best for you. Blanket statements like you can only get fit at the gym are not helpful. And I take serious issue with anyone making black and white statements like that because it can make people think, oh, well, I can't do that. I can't live up to this goal. So it's impossible. So I shouldn't even try. It's a very negative message. And let me be clear, nothing is impossible when it comes to your health and fitness. And having the right information is how you make choices. You can make informed choices when you have good information. So my goal here is to give you honest, truthful information so you can make the choice that's best for you. Because the all in or all out mentality is terrible when it comes to your nutrition, and it's also not helpful when it comes to your fitness. So I was coaching one of my clients this week, and we talked about why our choices can be often categorized in one of the following categories: good, better, or best for right now. And this is an approach that I take because while there may be some ultimately best way you should be doing things, we all have different lives and we really just have to choose what is best for us. What is the choice that is the best choice we can make right now that is in alignment with our goals for this moment? So, when you see people saying like, oh, you should be cold plunging every day, or you should be doing infrared sauna. I mean, honestly, screw off with that. I don't have time for it. You could not pay me to get into a cold bath every day. And I feel great. If you need to take a cold plunge every day to feel your best, I feel like maybe something's not so working so great with your body. Maybe your nutrition is off. Maybe you're not sleeping enough. And it's just so crazy to me that people come up with these overly complicated rules about what it takes to be fit. And I think we all want to be using our time, energy, and money in an efficient way. We want to get the biggest bang for our buck. We don't want to be wasting time working out for hours every day. And we don't want to be wasting money buying things that aren't necessary to get us to our goal. We want to get the most out of the investment that we make. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, then you know I preach that you need to work on getting stronger. So yes, you can do cardio, body weight exercises, yoga, Pilates, etc. And those are all wonderful for you. And you can easily do them at home in a yoga studio, Pilates studio. You could literally put on a sneakers and go for a run. We're not going to talk about that type of fitness. We're going to be talking about what it takes to get stronger, because there absolutely needs to be some heavy lifting and strength training in your life and in your week. The way that you spend your time and energy on your fitness, there needs to be some strength training in there. And that means you need to have access to certain equipment, which of course costs money in some way. So you have some decisions to make. I am completely unbiased about whether you work out at a gym or you work at home. It does not matter to me. I want you to do what is best for you and have the information you need to make that decision. So let me be clear. I'm addressing the goal of getting stronger when it comes to comparing a commercial gym versus a home gym. Okay. So we're going to start off with a commercial gym. And we're going to start with the pros of working out in a commercial gym. Number one, the best thing about a commercial gym is that most likely they have a ton of equipment. Whether they have a lot of dumbbells, kettlebells, weight machines, cables, TRX straps, leg presses, foam rollers, everything. Like, they're just going to have a lot more equipment than you would probably find in most home gyms. And that equipment takes up a lot of space, and that equipment is very expensive. You know, a typical gym probably literally has hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment in it. And as you become more advanced in your training, you're gonna need heavy weights, and a gym is most likely going to be able to give you access to that type of equipment. And the fact that you can have access to all this stuff in one place without spending thousands and thousands of your own dollars is pretty cool, especially in the beginning. And if you live in a small living space, a gym is going to give you so many options compared to what you would be able to fit in your space at home. Say if you live in an apartment or you share a room in a house and you have roommates, it's definitely important to check out and see what type of equipment a gym has before you sign up. Because I've definitely been to gyms that don't have machines, that don't have cable pulls, that only have free weights, which is just kind of like you can do that at home. So what exactly are you paying for? So make sure you tour a gym with, write down what you're looking for and make sure that they can check all those boxes for you. Number 2, it's a huge pro as a beginner to have access to experts, such as small group training or one-to-one training to help you learn proper form and training techniques. I personally did some small group TRX training at one point, and I honestly say I really preferred that over a large typical fitness class where you have like 30, 40, 50 people in one room working out together. I really like the small group. You get more individualized, help from the expert. And I will say that the vast majority of fitness classes, that's, a large group class that I've attended, are actually not really strength focused. Things like Orange Theory, where you might be using weights for a specific class, but it's ultimately just cardio. Most large fitness classes at gyms, in my experience, I would love to know if they actually do have strength training classes, but most of them, like what was the big one? Body pump was a big one back in the day when I used to go to the gym. I hate to tell you, it's just cardio with weights. You're going to sweat a lot. You're going to burn a lot of calories, which you probably think is really great. And honestly, it's really not what you should be looking for in your workout, but you aren't going to be lifting very heavy. You're probably not going to be using much more than maybe 20 pounds during a class like that. And if your gym does offer some actual strength and muscle building or powerlifting classes, that would be what you want to look at. Anything that is actual strength building, muscle building, powerlifting, those are the classes that, if they have that name in it, most likely, of course, I cannot speak for everything here, but I would say that's what I would want to have my eye out for. Because if you're a bit beginner, then that would be great to have an instructor, a trainer who can, just help you get started. That is a huge pro of joining a gym. Another thing about the gym that I know is a huge reason why a lot of people go is because there's some level of accountability, possibly. If you're paying for a membership with classes, that can be a motivating factor that creates accountability because you're like, well, I'm paying all this money, I better use it. Although I can say there have definitely been times in my life, especially in my 20s, when I was paying for a gym and not using it. So that is not always true. Maybe you have a friend you go there with or a trainer that is monitoring your progress and holding you accountable. And community can be such a wonderful aspect of joining a gym. It can make working out fun. It can create a whole psychological aspect to the process that makes you feel good about going. However, I do want to point out that Self-accountability is the ultimate accountability. I have a whole episode on it. So relying on other people to hold you accountable, I don't think is great, but you can use community to enhance your experience. And I think a lot of gyms have a really great community. My friends that go to gyms, that is the number one thing that they tell me. They just really like the community. They often really like the owner or the trainer, and they enjoy going because of that social connection on top of what they're getting out of it physically. Pro number 4, your gym may provide some nutrition support. I would say you do have to be careful with this because I've seen some of the nutrition plans coming out of popular gyms that my friends have gone to, and they've shown me their diet plans. And I've been downright horrified by some of them with 1,000 calories a day, cutting out food groups, just really unhealthy nutrition plans. So you do have to be careful where you're getting your nutrition information, but some of them also have wonderful trainers that understand macros, that understand you need to nourish your body, that understand what nutrition looks like if you're trying to build muscle or you're trying to lose fat. So you really just have to do your best to make sure you're getting information from the right people. I would say if your gym is just focused, if all they talk about is weight loss and they show these extreme weight loss challenges and extreme dieting and they have you cutting out foods or food groups, then that's probably a red flag that it isn't going to be sustainable and it might not actually be safe or healthy. Hopefully, listening to this podcast over time, you've realized that you do not need to cut out food groups or starve yourself with drastic calorie reduction. You want to make sure the information you're getting at the gym is valid. And I would say stay away from anything that has a time frame attached. So if it's 6-week shred or 12-week weight loss boot camp, and it's just a general plan and there's no customization, and they're telling you need to be having 1,200, 1,500 calories a day, then that's a huge red flag because metabolically that is not going to help you out and create sustainable weight loss. Okay, number 5, financially, the cost of a gym can actually be pretty cheap. It just really depends on your location. Where I live, we have Planet Fitness. It's only $10 a month for a plan, which gives you access to just that one single Planet Fitness location. And I think it's only $25 or something like that, where then you can have a higher level of membership where you could go to any Planet Fitness anywhere. And I think that's a really great deal. That is cheap. That is a really low cost. If you are someone that's going to be working out 4 days a week, using their equipment, using what they have to offer, I cannot think of a better deal. But if you have that available to you and you purchase a strength training program, online that you can stream to your phone or something like that, that would be ideal. Honestly, I think that would be great. And I wish that I had known about that at different points in my life. Honestly, I wish I'd known about all of this earlier in my life. I personally haven't stepped foot in a gym in almost a decade, other than I did join my friend once when she had a bring your friend to the gym day, and I worked out with her. And then I do use hotel gyms when I'm on vacation, and I found it really easy to just pop in my earbuds and then stream my workout on my phone and follow my workout video and just kind of do things the same way as I do them at home. So you don't necessarily need to go to a class. You can absolutely follow written or videotaped workout plans the same as you would if they're intended for a home workout. Okay, so those are the pros of going to a gym, and I'm sure there's more, but I just wanted to highlight the ones that are probably the most common and great reasons to join a gym. So let's dive into reasons why you may not want to go to a gym, or maybe it isn't even possible for you. So that is my number one con, is just to recognize that if someone is telling you you have to get fit from a gym, I guess they're not understanding that not everybody has access to a gym. And I personally, in the summertime, am one of those people who does not have access to a gym. When it's summertime and I'm in New Hampshire, we live in a very rural area. The closest gym is over 20 minutes away. And There's one gym, and I don't think it has a whole lot of options as far as equipment or classes. It looks like it's closed a lot of the times that I've been by it. So it just would not be very feasible for me to think I'm going to literally spend 20 plus minutes driving both directions to just, if you're going to spend a longer time driving to the gym than you are working out, it just is not something that is going to be simple for you. There's a lot of obstacles between you leaving your house and getting there that could prevent you from being consistent. So for anyone to shame you or say you're not going to get results if you don't go to a gym, that just tells me they aren't really thinking about not everyone has access to the same things that they do. And not everyone lives somewhere where they have all these options available to them. And that is something that we need to recognize within the fitness community, the wellness community, that everyone is coming from their own unique circumstances. And just because I live, right now, I have a bazillion gyms that I could drive to within 20 minutes. It doesn't mean that everyone has that choice. Number two, a reason that you may not enjoy going to the gym is having to share equipment. You might need to wait for equipment. So even though you're following a workout program and it says, okay, you're going to be doing leg presses, and then you're going to be using the abductor machine or the adductor machine or like whatever, even though you're supposed to be doing that in a certain order, there could be someone else using the equipment. And sometimes people don't clean off the equipment. Sometimes people are just straight up rude. And I'm sorry, but one of the major reasons I never stuck with going to a gym for weightlifting and I didn't enjoy it was the people, and just the way that certain people behave just made it unenjoyable, and you couldn't really consistently know what you were going to get. Having to share equipment, waiting for people who might be doing selfish things by hogging the equipment, people not putting their equipment back, and just dealing with the general public and other people's hygiene habits or lack of hygiene. That's honestly a huge con for me personally. I also don't really want anyone walking up to me to mansplain how to do something, or someone coughing and sneezing. And I'm sure this varies with different gym cultures, and it's all about finding a gym that works for you. But this personally is something like I just don't want to deal with other people when I'm working out. Okay. Number three, I alluded to this in the first con of working out at a gym, but time. If it's gonna take a long time to drive or walk to your gym and find a parking spot, getting yourself settled, change whatever you need to as far as your clothing, put your stuff in a locker, it might not be a big deal to some people, but if you do have a very limited time frame to get your workout in, every minute counts, and you have to make sure you're including your travel time, setup, takedown into your workout schedule. And also, I live in the Northeast, so obviously we have snowy weather. And for me, this is a big con because even though I have, a ton of options when it comes to gyms around me, it's still going to take me a minimum of 10 minutes to just drive to the gym. And so there and back, that's 20 minutes already that I could be doing other things. And it's just not for me, if the weather isn't great, to be going out when the roads are bad. It's just another obstacle to prevent you from getting your workout in. And I really like to control as much as I can, and having to actually drive to a gym leaves a lot of things outside of my control. Okay, number 4, the cons of a gym are having to deal with childcare issues and or snow days. If your kids don't have school and you don't have the childcare option, or if your gym closes on snow days and you don't have a backup option, it's just, again, something you have to figure out, and it creates an obstacle for you. I definitely found childcare helpful when I went to the gym when my kids were little, but once I started working out at home, I was so glad I didn't have to put my kids in the gym daycare anymore. And if school was canceled or they had a snow day, it didn't mess with my ability to get a workout in. And outsourcing this vital part of my routine was just a big con for me. And I just found it so much easier to work out from home while my kids were still sleeping or watching a show on TV. It just was really easy for me. So, number 5, the cost might be an obstacle for you. If you aren't lucky enough to have a low-cost gym near you, then it could cost you hundreds of dollars per month. I know there's some gyms that are like $400, $500 per month, and that may not be in your budget. It certainly is not in my budget. So, if you don't have the budget or you don't have the options near you that fit in your budget, then going to a gym is just not going to be the best choice for you. Number 6, I almost didn't include it, but then I decided to because honestly, this is something that I've seen with a few gyms is a cult mentality. And honestly, some gyms are just very cliquey and I'm not into it. I have been to when I was in a phase where I was trying to figure out how I was going to work out when I started working again and I wasn't able to go to the gym that I went to when I was a stay-at-home mom. And I tried a few things and I just felt that some of them were very cliquey and not very welcoming. So I don't think it's great for your mental health to belong to any group that promotes clickiness or isn't welcoming, or once you do become part of it, like, I don't know, that whole like social scene just isn't for me. So it's something to keep in mind because sometimes it can get really culty where you find yourself being pushed to do things that you don't want to do that might not be healthy for you, or where people are like providing quote accountability, but it's almost like bullying you into doing things that are not the right fit for you. I've even seen things where, people don't show up to class and instead of a supportive way, it's sort of like putting someone down for not showing up and stuff like that. So beware, understand the culture of the gym that you're joining and know, to yourself, is this something that I want, the energy that I want to bring into my life? And I'm sure for every gym that's like that, there's probably 50 that are not like that at all. And I do know that so many of my friends go to the gyms that they go to because they absolutely love the culture and the supportive nature. But I just wanted to mention because that is something that's out there. Another con with the gym, I kind of alluded to this in the other cons, but overall, all of these things can add up to inconsistency. And when it comes to having to be somewhere at a certain time to ensure you get your workout in, or being able to complete a full workout in not being able to because other people are using the equipment or the space that you need, I think that can be really frustrating when it comes to consistency. If weather is preventing you from getting to the gym, if sick kids are preventing you from getting to the gym, it can really affect your ability to be consistent. Okay, so these are the big ones for working out in the gym. I talked about all the pros, I talked about all the cons. So let's switch over and talk about a home gym, not a commercial gym. So I feel that there are so many pros to working out at home. So I'm going to highlight the ones that I think are the most important. And number 1, you can absolutely get the same results at home that you would get in a commercial gym, especially when you are a beginner. For someone to say you cannot get fit from home is just completely inaccurate. There are people walking around every day in this world who are in fantastic shape and they do it all from home and do not go to a gym. It does, however, require investing in the right equipment, and that's where most people are going to find constraints as far as space or money or willingness to make the investment when it comes to the equipment that you actually do need to get stronger at home. The pro of consistency, to me, this almost should have been the number one thing, but this is huge. This is the biggest one for me. I never, ever created consistency in my workout routines until I started working out from home. When I belonged to the gym, there were certain obstacles that came up for me, especially when it came to finding a time that I could go to the gym, Too often external obstacles, other people's problems would prevent me from getting to the gym, whether it was, my kids, my husband, my job, whatever. It would prevent me from getting to the gym or getting to a class on time. And with a home gym, you have the flexibility. You can work out whenever you want to. And this is what helped me create consistency. You don't have to worry about childcare, and you can easily work your schedule around appointments, switch things around. If you're trying to get to the gym for a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class and you have a doctor's appointment on a Wednesday morning, then you just can't go to that class that week. There's no way to work around it. But when you're at home, you can just get up a little earlier or do it that night or whatever. It's really up to you and holding yourself accountable to create that consistency. Number 3, as I said in the commercial gym, you don't have to deal with other people when you work out at home. You can wear what you want. You don't have to share your equipment. You don't have to worry about germs. You don't have to worry about anyone looking at you or coming up and mansplaining or interrupting you. It's just you and your goals. I have a mirror set up in my workout space. I can check my form. I just go down and get it done, and I don't have to talk to one other person, and it's beautiful and I love it. Number 4, working out at home definitely saves you time, which can translate into more sleep, being more productive at home, whatever. You're getting more time back in your life. My workout takes me less than an hour, start to finish. It takes me 30 seconds to walk down to my basement. I walk for 10 minutes to warm up. Then I do a 5 to 10 minute mobility warm up for the specific muscle group that I'm working that day. Then I do a strength training workout, 30 to 40 minutes. Then I stretch for 5 minutes, and sometimes I walk an additional 10 minutes after that. This is compared to what it took when I went to the gym, which was driving to the gym, which took 10 to 15 minutes depending on traffic, dropping the kids in the daycare, which was another 5 to 10 minutes, getting settled in the gym, picking my spot, doing the workout, which sometimes was an hour long, possibly having to wait for equipment. All this little stuff adds up, and you can easily find yourself needing 2 hours of your day to just get your workout in. And all the extra time it takes to just get a 30 to 45 minute workout in, no matter how you slice it, you're gonna save time working out at home. Number 5, financial costs. This is going to vary, but as a beginner, you can definitely set up a home gym for very little money. Now, it's going to cost you more than the $10 that you would spend for, like I said, the Planet Fitness membership, but you can get some very basic dumbbell sets, a yoga mat, or even a towel, and that's really all you need to get started, especially if you're a beginner. And when we get to the cons, we'll talk about the cost of setting up a home gym that would serve you from beginner to expert level, because that is definitely going to be significantly more than you need as a beginner. But as a true beginner, you can absolutely get started with body weight workouts, which aren't going to cost you anything. And you can absolutely start that way. That's why you can start today. It's not about finding the perfect time. But the truth is, if you do want to get stronger, you're going to need to lift heavy weights. Okay, let's talk about the cons of working out at home. So let's start with the money, because that's where we left off with the pros of working out from home. So yes, like I said, you can get started at home with 3 or 4 sets of dumbbells. When I started, I literally had 2 5-pound weights and 1 10-pound weight, because I was being cheap. I was like, oh, I can hold the 2 5s in one hand and then the 10 in the other for those moments when I need to use 2 10-pound weights. Like, I was being really cheap. And it's so funny, because if I look at my weight set, those 2 5-pound weights and the 10-pound weight are this like shiny silver color, and all the rest of our weights are more of that like zinc, dark, charcoal gray color. So it's so obvious to me what those first weights were that I started with. And I figured I could make it work, and I honestly thought that was the heaviest I was ever going to lift, was 10 pounds. So you can definitely get started with some light weights, maybe even up to 20 pounds, and be okay for, a few months. I'm keeping this very general, but if you're a woman and you've never strength trained before, then you're probably not going to be able to lift very heavy. but you have to anticipate that you are eventually going to lift much heavier. And probably within 3 to 6 months, you're going to find yourself needing heavier weights. So you're going to have to do your home workouts with the understanding that you're eventually going to need to invest in more equipment. So just to tell you the story of how I started with my kids' playroom. I would go down there at like 4:45 in the morning because I had to get them off to school. I had to get to work, and this was literally the only choice that I had at that point in my life. And I had those 2 5-pound weights, and I had a 10-pound weight. And I eventually added in 8s, 12s, 15s, and 20s as I became more consistent in my workouts and stopped going to the gym. I had started working outside the home and canceled my gym membership, and I found Beachbody at that time. And I'm so grateful that I found those workouts when I did, because that showed me how to create consistency at home. But basically, I would work out in my kids' playroom, and I would have to I kept the weights in a basket, and I would take the weights out and do my workout and then put them back in the basket. But I didn't have like an official gym. I don't even know if I would occasionally pull out a yoga mat. That was pretty much all I had. But then my husband saw that I was creating this consistency. He wanted to try the workouts with me, and he had at a point also done the P90X program. This is years before I found the Beachbody workouts. And he had worked out in the living room with those workouts, and he wanted to start doing that again, but he got tired of trying to do his workouts in the living room. And ultimately, he ended up going down into our unfinished basement, and he decided we were going to invest in having a workout space. So one of the costs of having an adequate home gym is having a home, or wherever you live, having the space where you can set things up to have a permanent home. Because if you're constantly putting things away and taking them out, that is not very conducive. When you have heavy weights, to be moving them around constantly like that, that is a little bit tough. If you have a small space or just want to set up an area of your bedroom or area of your living room or something like that, you can get things like adjustable weights. I have the Bowflex adjustable weights, and I know there's other brands out there where those take up a very small amount of room, and you can go all the way up to 50 pounds with them. So if you don't have any other choice, that to me would be the best thing you can spend your money on. And they weigh like 53 pounds or something each one. So if you could find a way to store them in a way that works for you, that doesn't bother you, that you're not going to be tripping over them, those would be my top choice if you know you're going to be lifting heavy and you have very limited space. So we did invest in adjustable dumbbells. Those were our next big purchase because he knew he was going to be lifting heavier. We set up flooring, the padded flooring, because we have a concrete basement floor. And then as we got more serious, he bought me a weight bench, which one of the best investments ever. And then we bought him a half rack. So that's like a squat bar, I guess. If you don't know what a half rack is, it's, you have the huge barbell, the Olympic barbell with the weights. And we also bought him a hex bar. And a hex bar is how you can really train your legs without having a machine. Similar to like a leg press, you can really load it up with really heavy weights. We also have what's known as an easy bar, which is it's like a barbell has like kind of a zigzag shape to it, if you will. But we didn't have to spend any money on that because actually he had that since he was a teenager and held on to it for all those years. And I use it now, and every time I use it, I just think, oh my gosh, this thing is like 30 years old and it still works great. It's awesome. So we eventually went all in and we bought a dumbbell rack with we have all dumbbells from literally 3 pounds all the way up to 60 pounds. And let me be clear, we have done this over a period of years, probably almost a decade. The first big purchase was getting the flooring and the weight bench, and then the half rack and the hex bar. But if you look at the $125 per month membership at our gym, which, my husband couldn't even use because he has a very busy work schedule and he doesn't have those literal extra 10 minutes in the day, 20 minutes, between driving there and back. And working out at home is the only option that he has. And he wouldn't even have been able to use it. But the gym membership was $125 a month. So if you multiply that over 10 years, that comes out to $15,000 being spent on a gym membership. And it would probably be more than that because it was $125 when I left the gym 10 years ago. So I'm assuming the price has gone up since then. And while I assure you that we have spent thousands on our home gym, we have not spent $15,000, that's for sure. And all 4 members of my family use it. All 4 of us strength train and use that equipment every single day. So honestly, the value that we get out of it is pennies on the dollar compared to what we paid. Am I saying that right? I don't think I'm saying that right. What I'm saying is it's almost priceless, the value that we get out of it, because we just use everything all the time. It's always available to us. And it's just been so helpful with the kids' school schedules and our work schedules and everything. Just knowing that a workout is just walk down the stairs to the basement, everything is there, turn on your workout and go. One of my kids, he loves strength training, so he's at a point now where he actually programs his own workouts. He doesn't even follow a workout video or anything like that. He's educated himself, and he has gained so much strength, and that's amazing to see. So it's just become who we are as a family. And honestly, if you think back on the amount of money we would have spent on the gym, going to the gym that we used to go to, we've spent way less money over time. And even though we didn't have all of that equipment at first, and it did cost a lot of money to build it to the point where it is, it still isn't the amount that we would have spent on the gym membership. Okay, so let's move on to where people would say you cannot get an adequate workout at home. So the con would be you just shouldn't work out at home because you're not going to get the results. And to this, I would say it's absolutely not true. But of course, with the understanding that you do need to invest in the proper equipment, like I mentioned above, and there's other equipment you could buy. You could buy Nautilus machines, all that stuff. But could you progress to a point where you may need some sort of specific machines to isolate certain moves? Okay, maybe that's going to happen. Maybe you're going to get to this level where you're like, this home equipment just isn't enough for me. But also, what are your goals? I personally don't ever see myself working out to a point where I need to use machines. I mean, I see the amount that my husband lifts. Like, he lifts so heavy and he does it just fine at home. I don't think I'm ever going to be lifting heavier than him. So I just don't see myself getting to that point. And my goal is to get as strong as I can in a reasonable and healthy way. I don't ever want to be obsessive about it. And I don't think I'll be training to the point where I need to be lifting massive amounts of weights, needing machines. I'm okay with being strong enough, lean enough, and I'm not working towards any aesthetic goals or training for bodybuilding or bikini competition. I am training for my life. And I think it's unrealistic and imposing goals on someone else to say, like, you can't the results unless you join a gym. And you would only get to that point where your home gym was ineffective if you got to a point where, you didn't want to, say, buy those adjustable dumbbells that go up to 50 pounds. If you don't want to spend the money on that, I mean, those are going to cost you $350. That's going to be a couple months at the gym. Like, why not just buy the weights? I just don't think that it's something that's necessary to say that you are never going to get your results if you don't work out in a gym. Number 3, motivation. I hear that belonging to a gym is motivating and that being around that atmosphere is motivating. And I think this is just going to be your own personal preference. I personally am self-motivated. I love working out. And part of why I love my workouts is because how easy it is to do them. And it's my alone time. I'm not interested in gossiping or socializing while I work out. And like I said, when I did go to hotel gyms, I just put my earbuds in and do my own thing. Like I wasn't there to really talk to people. And I didn't need anyone to motivate me to go to the hotel gym. I wanted to get my workout in because I knew how good I was going to feel. And honestly, that is so motivating. Whether you work out at home or work out in a gym, you're just going to feel so good that makes you want to keep going. So if you are trying to create consistency and you are never feeling good, then something is off with your training plan. Because yes, you're going to feel fatigued on days you have like really heavy workouts, really heavy leg days especially, and you give yourself the rest. But then the next day, if I take more than 2 days off, I am like dying to do my workout. And you're only going to reach that point in your love of your workouts if you create consistency. So motivation can get you started, but consistency and discipline is what keeps you going. And then it becomes self-motivating because you don't want to lose that feeling. I'm sure you can do the same thing at a gym that you go to regularly and just get your workout done and, not talk to anybody. Or you could go to a gym and, be meeting your friends, and it could be partly social, partly working out, whatever. So this is where you need to figure out what type of person you are. I do surround myself with other like-minded people in other ways. I have friends that I text message and talk about health and fitness with. I have people I talk in person about it. I talk to my husband. I talk to my kids. I am part of Facebook groups with people working on similar goals, and that's enough for me. I don't really need anything more from a gym. And I think if you really struggle in your home environment and unfortunately you don't have a partner or kids that are on this journey with you and get it, because it is something. It's like once you get it and you understand how awesome strength training is, it's just a common connection that you can have with other people who are on that same journey. But joining a gym, if you lack that support and connection at home with your fitness, then joining a gym would be an awesome way to make sure you surround yourself with the right kind of people. Okay, so we've talked about the pros and cons of commercial gym workouts and home workouts, but what if there was another option? And maybe the right fit for you is to do a little combination of both. And if you're a beginner, I would definitely suggest trying different things that are available to you. Maybe you can go to the gym a couple days a week, work out at home a couple days a week. Maybe you can work out at home 4 days a week, go to yoga class once a week. Again, we're all about finding your formula for feeling your best. And you've got to experiment to see what you like and what works for your schedule. That's where you really have to find that balance. And maybe there's something you really want to do, but it just doesn't work for you right now. And you have to make it a goal to change your schedule around so that you can actually do what you want. Ultimately, no matter what you choose, you have to understand that some level of sacrifice, discipline, self-accountability, commitment, and investment is required. Doing something is always going to be better than doing nothing, and you need to move away from the all-in or all-out mentality when it comes to both your food and your fitness. And if you care about your long-term health, then just start. It's not that serious. It's not that complicated. And often we overthink things and it gets in our way of actually taking action. In my Lose the Fat for Good workshop, I lay out exactly what you need to do to build habits that matter and get you the results you want. You can purchase it now, like I said, for only $97 with the early bird discount. And that also includes membership in my online community. So if you have questions, you can ask. It's a community and support page. I am there to answer questions once a day or so, but it's going to map out for you exactly how to get started with these habits. Maybe you want to start with the food, maybe you want to start with the fitness, but step by step, I show you what matters, what to focus on if you want to lose the fat for good. All right, I hope this conversation helped you think about where you want to work out, what plans you want to make, some things you want to try, and ultimately think about what's next for you when it comes to getting stronger. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode, and I will be back here on Friday with a regularly scheduled mini session, little bonus episode. I will be back doing that regularly. Monday, long episodes like this. Fridays, little mini episodes somewhere from like 5 minutes, maybe up to like 18 minutes, something like that. But it just feels great to be back in the routine and talking to you guys again. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to check the episode details for my new listener starter guide, and any additional resources mentioned in the episode can also be found in the show notes on my website. You can always find me on Instagram at Macros with Lil, and for more healthy lifestyle tips, recipes, and information on my one-to-one and group coaching services, make sure to check out my website. All the links can be found below. If you know someone else who is ready to start building their formula for feeling their best, please share the love and send them a link to the podcast. I hope you found today's episode helpful, and I'll see you back here next week for a brand new one.